needs. The organisational workshop, I feel, has been, or really is, the big piece of the puzzle that's been missing with regards to transformation.
Jeeps now sit idle in the Kirk's car park through lack of engagement from the regeneration process. The project grew faster than I could deal with, and before I knew it I was sunk in paperwork, running around, maintaining the vehicles and putting the events together, and really did need support in helping me with this, but it didn't seem to come. I mean, it really baffles me in the regeneration process that the amount of professionals that are in it, and yet two projects like the go-kart track and the motocross sit idle when everything's there. All it needs is life breathing into it and a bit of support. That's all it needs. And this won't happen until the regeneration process, how it's delivered currently, changes, because people just will not engage with that.
So you can see that it's not that the Marsh Farm Community Development Trust haven't been supportive. They have been supportive and they have been resourcing projects. So clearly it was a problem with the support structures, and they work for some people, but clearly they're not working for the hard to reach. And Marsh Farm Community Development Trust has been supporting the organisation workshop programme since 2001, and in this we hope to work together to mould the structures to make it more accessible and sustainable for local communities. We here on Marsh Farm did a local economic survey, and we found out that collectively we all bring in 58 million to the estate every year. So if we could retain some of that 58 million and create enterprises, and which creates jobs, to try and hold some of that here within the estate. For example, 1.3 million spent on takeaways, and we don't have a takeaway. So you could create 12 jobs there straight away.
Right. So when I heard about the organisational workshop, I was very, very excited about it, because one, it taps into local people who know the community, who know what the needs are, and it also taps into their creativity to make to take the steps to bring about changes within our community, if you like, rather than depending on external transformers.
Every man do his thing a little way different. Yeah, every man do his
The OW starts where everybody who's involved in the OW, those that are looking work and trying to improve on their entrepreneurial skills, everybody gathers in one big room, hall. There could be 200, 150 people within that hall, and everybody is formed under one specific enterprise, and that enterprise then breaks down into so many different enterprises.
That people learn better in larger groups because you multiply the opportunities for learning, you multiply the relationships. Very often we treat projects and organisational development in little boxes. And we might have one little enterprise here, one little community project here, one programme here. What this does is brings the whole, this organisation workshop technique, it brings the whole thing into a single space and has a group of people, upwards of 30, 40, but maybe pushing hundreds, moving together on a joint enterprise at the same time as tackling specific tasks within that enterprise. That's a significant change in the way in which we approach regeneration programs, linking up the programs together.
You learn how to set up and function as an enterprise, delivering real contracts and real services to real people. Well, the difference with capacitation is that you learn all of the skills needed to set up and run a business. So from bookkeeping and accounting right through to actually sort of delivering the service. So rather than your traditional classroom training, people are actually learning on the job. And because of the way the environment's designed and the way that it's done, you can do it in a much shorter period of time. For example, the organisation workshop is only 8 weeks, whereas through
what we call a technical pool standing by. They're the people who are qualified and professionals in all the different aspects of what it is to take to run a business, specifically to your business. The way the people actually start to perform and learn to interact with each other and become their enterprise is by learning by doing, by learning by their mistakes.
Action learning, learning by doing. It's crucial to understand that people coming from the kind of backgrounds and social situations that we find on an estate like Marsh Farm are not going to walk into formal training and gain anything significant that's going to move them forward. You need situations which are related to practical tasks and where they are autonomous, where they can self-organise to learn and make mistakes within an environment where those mistakes will not have the kind of consequence that results in them and having to abandon the project, but will be able to be assessed, learned from, built into the plans for the future, and then move on.
Enterprises, so after 6 weeks, will, with their mistakes and the way they do things and the successes they've had, will have learnt how to run a successful business, and with their mentors to help them, will be able to carry on and look forward to trying to get new contracts to improve it, to make a sustainable business afterwards.
After the OW, there'll be a period of after support for these social enterprises.
The jobs that is going to be created will be for anybody, but we are targeting the hard to reach, the unemployed, people who are long time unemployed, have trouble working under normal conditions.
Because the OW would be about starting up social enterprises, businesses, there's been a lot of work going on in the background to make sure that there's trainers and mentors out there willing to take on the role of the teachers on the job during the programme. We've had to arrange meetings and get partners to sign up with the Luton Chamber of Commerce Business Link, the head of that department, Richard Collier, and really likes the idea of this project, and he signed up straight away. Learning Skills Council, because they're one of the main funders for the colleges, their head of department signed up to take part in the design process of the OW. The heads of Barnfield College has signed up, saying that their trainers and teachers would be prepared to come and deliver their training in this unique way. The Job Centre have signed up to make sure that participants who come off their benefits to take part of this programme. So there's a lot of people, a lot of heads of departments agreeing to try and work to the best of their possibilities to make sure that the OW is a successful programme.
The organisation workshop at Marsh Farm, has the potential to change the way in which we do community development and regeneration. It's a concept which embraces a huge range of possibilities, and the key to it from my point of view is understanding how it assembles a lot of things we've known work in their own discrete ways with communities in supporting development, and brings them together into a whole process which has the potential to transform on a very large scale the relationship between local people, work, local development and local agencies.
The emergence of a number of enterprises on Marsh Farm providing jobs run by local people and bridging the gaps in service provision where they currently exist. That to me is absolutely critical for the economic and social transformation of what we refer to as a deprived area, because it locks in the wealth in the area and it gives local people the opportunity to maximize their resources. So in other words, they will invest in the area, and that investment will stay there and can be then used to create social enterprises.
The Scarman Trust have agreed to be our accountable body, hold all of the money that is needed to run an OW, and also they've managed to rethink the way they've been able to bring in a process where they'll be able to do a quick 24-hour turnaround. So any of these businesses and social enterprises that are starting up, as they realise what tools they need, they'll be able to come straight forward with a list. We'll be able to take the money, take that list away, and 24 hours later the money would be available for those tools to start up these businesses.
Marsh Farm Outreach approached the Scarman Trust to become the accountable body for them in their organisation workshop programme. And one of the key things that was needed was the fact that finance could be transmitted back to the recipients of any grants fairly quickly. So we sat down and looked at ways that we could improve the accounting function that we have existing in the Scarman Trust, with a view to be able to transmit the money back down to these workshops. And it wasn't easy, and our Chief Executive Officer broke out in a bit of a cold sweat when we first mentioned it to him. But when we sat down and looked at the possibilities of it, it was obvious that with a bit of foreplanning and involving certain members of staff, that it was feasible. I could see the speed of turnaround of payments being such an advantage to the programs within the organisation workshop, because generally it can take a period of time for a payment to reach them, and that time can be the difference between making them self-sufficient and not being able to operate effectively, and consequently losing the confidence of the people running the workshops.
We're not taking the project lightly, but also we recognise the necessity, if you're bringing something in to the country for the first time, to make sure that you've got people behind you in the right positions to support you, and to make sure you're doing everything within the law and within the existing guidelines. And if there's hurdles to get around, there's people there with the knowledge to help you get around those hurdles.
What we'll hope to do is evaluate the entire process, record it, and then roll out the concept and method across the entire UK.
And it will include the excluded now with the jobs, and hopefully change the way regeneration is done in this country.
living is the best? Do you know social 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 living is the best? Takes behavior.
But because Marsh Farm has been neglected for so many years, the work has to be deep. And by deep, what I mean is that the whole process, that the organisational workshop of engaging people to dialogue, to work together, to reason together, to work through problems together, not only leads to economic regeneration, but more important, it leads to social regeneration. I am very, very excited about the organisational workshop because it challenges us to ask some very, very deep questions. It means that we're gonna need to talk with one another because we are in the same ship, on the same boats, and we either sink or swim together.
Do you know social living is the best? 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 Takes behavior to get along. Lots of behavior to get along. Do you really, really know that? Do you know social living is the best? 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 Live good to right, no fight, uptight. Live good to right, no fight, uptight. Do you really, really know that? Do you know? Do you know social living is the best? Do you know social living is the best? Do you know social living is the best? Do you really know that? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you ever think about it? Do you know that? Do you know social living is the best? 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 Takes behavior